All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. For the people that are watching live, as well as we're going to also upload this to our YouTube channel, so anybody's welcome to click on. I'm Dominic. I'm with the admissions office. My colleague Justin is with us. We also have
Hello.
some of our esteemed professors from the communication department, and Shane, one of our rock star students. They're going to tell us a little bit about the program. So I guess to start, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. You guys can introduce yourself and maybe talk about some of the classes that you teach, and then we've got a PowerPoint that we'll play that'll kind of highlight some parts of the program. So we'll turn it to you guys.
Well, I'm the oldest, so I'll start first. I've been teaching for 50 years. That's how good the students are. I have stayed around. It wasn't the money, it was the kids. The kids are wonderful here. I teach the students who are just coming into QU as communication majors, and I teach them when they're seniors, and the difference is amazing. It really makes me very happy and proud because they accomplish so much. So I really look forward to meeting new students every year. They always surprise me. They teach me so much, as do my colleagues.
I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Nora Baldner. I have been teaching at Quincy University for 7 years. I teach broadcast journalism and writing, which is a huge part of content creation. I am so lucky to work in a broadcast studio that is state-of-the-art and industry standard. So I spent 20 years in broadcast television on the news side of things, and I feel very at home in the studio at North Campus that we have at Quincy University because it is just like the real world. And we do some fun shows. We have a great website, a podcast room. So we have a lot of fun, and it's really a great place to be.
I'm Travis Yates, Associate Professor of Communication. I've been here for 15 years, and prior to that, I was also in the news business and the public relations game. So I obviously teach public relations courses as well as media courses and film courses, just a really diverse slate across the board at Quincy University. And all of my classes are 100% online. So we've got some flexibility. If you need some room in your schedule, I'm the person to talk to because my classes can help with that. And I teach my classes in a unique way because I aim for portfolio based. You will leave with a product. And I think that's very important when you leave us and walk into potential employers to say, not only did I take these classes, do I have these skills, but here's what I did at Quincy University. And you can put a product into their hands.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Shane Holsey. I'm a senior multimedia communications major here at Quincy. I've been here all 4 years. Well, I guess 3.5 years, not technically 4 yet. I've absolutely loved it here every single year. Every semester has been amazing. The professors are amazing. I made some great friends, some people I never thought I would have met or interacted with to begin with. This was my first choice from the beginning. It just felt right, and I've been confirmed in that prediction. I worked at the newspaper for a couple of years, the Quincy Herald-Whig here in town, my freshman, sophomore year. I did an internship at WGM, the local NBC station, and I've done broadcasting for the GOVC Sports Network, which is our streaming platform for all the Quincy University athletic teams. I've done that since my freshman year, been involved in that pretty consistently. And I've done some other stuff outside of school as well. And this school has been the right place for me, and I've enjoyed every second of it. Every minute, every class has been very enthralling and very pleasing, I would say. I'm trying to think of a different word, but it's not really coming to me. Broadcasting major, shocker. But yeah, I've enjoyed every minute of it and wouldn't trade it for the world. I know that sounds cliche, but it really is. I can't really picture myself anywhere else. And crazy to think I'll be graduating in about 6 months, which it feels like I just got here like last month. So it flies by, so enjoy it while it lasts. It really is the best 4 years of your life and really prepares you for what's down the road. So there you have it.
Well, there we go. I don't think we need to continue. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. Yes, as Dominic said earlier, I'm Justin, and we work together in the admissions office. We're now going to share with you a short video to give you a few more details about the communications programs we have here, although all of these wonderful folks have already done a terrific job of that. So here we go.
Quincy University Communication Program offers degree concentrations in multimedia journalism, public relations and strategic communication, and sports communication. At QU, you'll join a team of all-star communicators who produce podcasts, broadcasts, online sportscasts, web content, magazines, social media posts, public relations and advertising campaigns, and more. You'll work with professionals whose experience in journalism and writing is matched by expertise as instructors and mentors. The Communications Center on QU's North Campus includes a podcast studio where you can capture interviews and commentary for an online audience. The center also features the Quincy Media Incorporated Broadcast Studio, which offers up-to-date equipment identical to what is currently used by the most advanced news stations. Select students also have the opportunity to produce live broadcasts of Division II sporting events for streaming on the GLVC Sports Network. In addition to campus activities, QU emphasizes learning through paid undergraduate internships with a variety of employers in Quincy and beyond. Internship areas include broadcast production, public relations, sports reporting, and other areas of communication. Our campus experiences plus internships lead to great jobs after graduation. Our alumni have careers as attorneys, directors of human relations, advertising copywriters, event planners, broadcast anchors, reporters and producers, and sports information directors. They work for such companies as Wilson Tennis, the Boeing Corporation, the American Bar Association, the Chicago Cubs, and KTVI Fox 2 St. Louis. Whatever your career interest might be, Quincy University's faculty and alumni connections can help get you there. Click any of the links on the screen to see what our students are doing or to learn more about us, our faculty, and our programs.
All right. Excellent.
I want to go back. That makes me remember that again.
Now, Shane, I was trying to count how many of those photos included you. I know I saw at least one, I think.
I think about a half dozen, I think.
Okay.
5 or 6. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no. That could be
In one way or another.
Where's
Someone's just
Shane?
a hand or
Oh my gosh.
That's just because Shane takes advantage of every opportunity. We really do have lots more students. We typically have between 10 and 20 students who graduate every year. So actually there are other people. It's just that this is the kind of campus where you can do a lot of things. And that's not true everywhere. Some schools, the opportunities are there, but you can't balance all of them. We have students who are athletes, and it does not prevent them from doing all the things that Shane did, from having internship off campus. I recall a student not too many years ago who was a 2-season athlete and also had an internship at the Herald Way. And so, a lot of people might assume, well, I'm going to be really busy, and athletes are, but I can tell you, athletes also know how to manage their time really well. They tend to come in understanding that is part of the territory. And so, and then we work with them. We help them to understand how to present that to an employer. And we have a good track record with our internship hosts. We've been doing this for 30 years now, which most schools have not. And it shows. know what employers are looking for. We have built relationships. Students who go out there as interns know that how well they do is going to make it possible for people to follow in their footsteps, or we'll close that door forever, because people remember whether our interns were good or not. Fortunately, they take that responsibility very well, and they have definitely built on the relationships we built. But it is, we also, you might have heard the word paid in there with internships, and that is important to us. It was important from the beginning. Now it's almost across the board a rule that interns should be paid for a lot of reasons. But when you are putting time into an internship, you may be eliminating a job that you were doing before to get enough money just to come to school. And we don't think you should have to choose. We think you should be able to be working toward your future and at the same time paying for your present. And then you deliver the value that makes employers very happy they hired you.
Yeah, these aren't get your cups of coffee internships. I mean, these are, they put you to work internships, and they have led to so many jobs right out of school for one, but then our interns advance oftentimes within the company that they start with very quickly because they've already established a relationship from their time at school.
They're becoming more or less a must-have, and we understand that. So we try to build an on-ramp into the internship. You'll find your advisor isn't just there checking off which classes you take each semester. Built into our plan for you, our success by design, is that you will have an internship, and we will help you to take all the steps you need to get that internship. We've had some very successful people who maybe waited a little longer and got a lot of pushing from yours truly. And we're so glad then that they did it, because it's a big difference maker. If you had time to have an early internship and then, as Travis said, move up, do something that has more responsibility the next year. Summer is a really good time. We have a J term in which you could fit an internship in January, which would be really an important time for a lot of businesses to let you see how things really work, to give you a picture of what it's like to be an actual employee. So again, when you've been doing this a long time, you get more and more connections. Our alumni are out there in good jobs, and they're constantly telling us, we have internship possibilities. We can help you connect with somebody who is doing the hiring. So you build a ladder, and many times that's not something that you can do at other schools. Usually it's bigger schools, better known schools, but we have that too. And that's because we laid the groundwork for a long time.
And I'll speak to a picture in there where you probably saw what we call the control room, where students were, sitting in front of what looked like perhaps, an airplane or something, and pushing buttons. We have a stair-step process where first you learn how to communicate and write, and then you learn how to use the equipment, and you start in the control room, and then you move to, in front of the camera. And I can't tell you how many students I have had walk through the door who say, no, I don't want to be in front of the camera. And that's fine, because we put you in the control room and you're actually controlling the product that we put out. But what tends to happen is I say, why don't you just try it just once? And then they love it. And so sometimes you go from the control room to the anchor desk. Sometimes you go from the anchor desk to the control room. But it's pretty quickly hands-on. I think Shane was sitting on the desk maybe the end of sophomore year. Is that right, Shane? Or at least not. At least you think that's right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got a little bit, for everyone, and we really encourage you to try every job, because probably, I'm going to just guess that you might not have done these jobs before in a high school, and you want to make sure that you just get an opportunity to try everything, because you really don't know what you'll like until we put you down in the chair and teach you how to do it. So I really enjoy seeing students say, oh no, I'm not going to do that. There's no way. And then they do it and they love it.
So Shane, with the multiple facets of broadcasting that you've learned about, experienced, what have you found to be the most challenging, and what have you found to be the most rewarding?
I would say the most challenging part not necessarily from a content perspective because I enjoyed it, but the amount of work that went into like producing a 30-minute show, it's a lot, but when you get it finished and all put together, it's also can be the most rewarding part when you see, especially if you're involved in the product like I am, to have that turn out well at the end. It kind of makes all that hard work kind of pay off. I've personally loved sports play-by-play, so the GOVC Sports Network has been an absolute blessing for me, even though it's, you know, a lot of work and a lot of preparation and all that stuff. The preparation is one of the most enjoyable parts of it. So I just if you love, even if you're not into sports, there's something for you. But if you are into sports, there's plenty you can do, and I've absolutely loved it. So
both of those go back to what I was talking about earlier with having the tangible product when you walk out of Quincy University. If you can have a tape, we still call it a tape, even though it's going to be on YouTube, but you can say to a news director, here are all the shows I produced. Or you can hand the sports director your games that you called and say, here's the play-by-play that I've done. So you walk out with a real product that, as Shane found, is incredibly rewarding.
It'll help you get jobs down the line, and you never know, one thing could lead to another, and all of a sudden you have your dream job. So you never know.
Now, something else we do is from the time you take your first class, we have you saving examples of your work. And because people, certainly, I just had someone today whose computer died on him. And luckily we've been saving examples of his work all this time. So he hasn't lost 3 years worth, not quite. But it's really important because, again, when you're going to go for an internship, they will want to see something. They will want to know what you can do. And so if you haven't had that habit of saving, which a lot of people don't, a lot of people assume that laptops never die. And so it's really important also to get the habit of looking at your work and being honest with yourself about, what did I execute really well here? What could be improved? How am I going to do that? Because, you know, that's what you do all your life. You never stop doing that. And the sooner you start, the more you can achieve. It's just a really good habit of mine. And our students take to it really quick.
One class that I really enjoy teaching is social media. And so I'm assuming that many of you would like to be Insta influencers and YouTube stars and all that good stuff. It actually does take hard work to do that, even though the people who are doing it make it look so very easy. So we do, encourage you to delve into social media and content creation and Google Analytics and a lot of things that are, real careers and social media managers. So that's really a fun class that I enjoy as well.
I think we talk about outcomes so much, and what's amazing is we have the outcomes where our students are getting jobs and landing, but some of the courses that you guys teach are just absolutely amazing. Going through it, I absolutely loved my strategic communication class, absolutely loved my crisis communication class. Any of those classes that really kind of pop up that you guys have students that really like it and maybe don't expect that they're going to like it and then end up finding a niche in it?
I love teaching. Go ahead, Travis.
I'm really proud of the way we teach our public relations classes because we take an ethics-based approach. And so even if you don't end up in a public relations job, you end up somewhere else, you're going to have a certain skill set that you need when certain crises do come up. And you can be the moral compass for your organization. And that's very important to have that skill right now when everybody else is looking for a quick fix. And you have the ability to maybe look long-term and realize the effects that your choices, communication choices, will have on your organization. And that makes you look really good to a CEO or to a president or whoever is you're helping guide through the crisis. So that's a lot of fun. And I like to always say public relations is not a verb. It's not something you do. It's really a rich tapestry of tools and theories in action. And that's kind of the approach that we take. It ties in with all of the other skills that you'll learn in your communication courses here. So I really love our PR sequence.
And I'm going to brag about you, Travis, for just a minute, because prior to hitting record on this event tonight, we were talking about how nimble that we can be because we are a smaller school. And so Travis has jumped into teaching how to do these types of presentations. What is the best lighting? What is the best background? What is, the best performance for your Zoom? Because obviously we have all adapted to this. And in our public speaking courses, we're immediately jumping into how does technology come into this? And you're not always going to be in front of an audience of real people. You might have an audience of little squares on your screen.
The Brady Bunch audience. That's right.
A lot of crossover between classes, and that's helpful because people in a career often will not have one job forever. They may go in thinking broadcasting is my passion, and then they may segue into public relations later on. So cross-training is really our mantra. The fundamentals are very, very much the same, but for instance, any student who hasn't learned how to use the technologies, if they're in public relations, they're not going to be able to say, oh, I don't want anything to do with TV, I don't want anything to do with the broadcasting side, because you will use it. And again, many times they're frightened of it. They think that they're more introverted than they are. They discover that when you're prepared, you don't need to be afraid of anything. And that's the point. You need to work hard to have the fun. And our students really do have fun. I've taught an advertising class for a number of years, and most people come in thinking, well, I'm clever. I watch ads all the time. I can do this. Anybody can do this. It's all of the research that goes in ahead of time so that what you say is magic and has the effect you want. An ad that's clever and doesn't get anybody to buy anything is not a success. But students do, when they are prepared and they come in and they do a great presentation, they show us a campaign at the end, there's an incredible pride there. And they will use that type of thinking everywhere they go in this business. If they go on and become attorneys, for instance, and we have several students who decided to do that after graduation, to go back to school, and some of them had it in mind the whole time. But no matter what you do, you're going to have to be presentational in mind. And they learn how to do that here. So, if you could only major in one subject, I'd say this one. This is the one to do it.
And I know towards the end of the presentation, we noticed a minor in film. Travis, would you talk a little bit more about that? Because it's a wonderful opportunity. One
Sure.
of the more interesting and growing interests in a major or a minor. So I'm happy we have it here.
It's just like our communication program. The film and new media minor is very versatile. It can help you probably in whichever field you want to go into. If you're going into marketing, understanding how messages are communicated through film, how they're crafted visually on screen, the effects that they have on society. These are all the things that we look at in the program. Social media is a class that you'll be required to take as a part of the new media side of that. So it's really a versatile program that not only applies, it has its home in fine arts, but really it's a valuable just for media literacy in general, but then also how you can then take the skills from those classes and apply them to whatever field you are. It's a fantastic minor.
Shane, I'm going to throw this back to you as the student in our crowd. Are there any things that when you were starting out as a freshman that maybe you were fearful of or concerned about, or the unknowns that maybe emerged that weren't as scary as you thought?
I think on the broadcasting side, I'd never really been in an actual control room and seen what it looked like and all these crazy buttons and machines and all this stuff. And then you sit down and actually do it and you're like, wow, this is how this works. It's really not rocket science. It might look like rocket science, but it really isn't. And I was the technical director for QTV for a little while, and for the capabilities we have, I like to think at least fairly good at it, not to toot my own horn or anything, but that's one part of it. And also just, the amount of, it's a lot of communications is a lot of work, but it's rewarding work. And I've found that throughout 3.5 years of this major, you're going to do a lot of different stuff, but it's not your typical science or English or anything like that. It's actually, you actually get to do things and show what you can do, not only to your teachers and all that, but if you get an internship or a job somewhere, you're like, hey, I can do this. And you're actually doing something tangible and not just, it's not all taking tests and memorizing all this stuff, but you're actually doing things that most of the time are enjoyable. So.
And he is good at taking tests too, by the way. He has no reason to fear that. Example with Shane, I'm going to brag about him a little bit here. A year ago, we have a grant, and for that grant, every year we need to raise an amount of money, very substantial amount of money, from a donor in order to have that matched by the government. And our director of advancement said, you know, I just wish I had a visualization here. I wish I had a short film to explain this to people, because it's very complicated, and you know, people are very visual. I'm just not reaching donors. And so I work with Shane, and he produced the $100,000 video. It made it look really easy. He did it in no time at all. Because immediately she took that video out on the road and came back with money. And I said, that's important, because you came here with a vision of broadcasting, but this is also extremely important to be able to do. Again, it's something someone in public relations has to do a lot, to make a video that demystifies, that convinces people to do things. And he was able to make that switch from one way of thinking about broadcasting to the other, and he made us a lot of money. So I like to tell people about this, and it was a bragging point when we were evaluated this year. I said, a student created that video, and they were very impressed.
Oh, I appreciate it very much. I mean, not to massage my ego or anything, but
So we also have a sport communication track, and I believe there's either a multimedia journalism track or a public relations track. Is that correct? Okay.
Public relations and strategic communication.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned earlier, Shane, GLVC. Will you go into a little more detail on that?
All right. So Quincy University, member of the Great Lakes Valley Conference, GLVC, Division II, NCAA. And what the GLVC did, I'm not exactly sure when it was created exactly, but they launched a streaming network for all the schools in the GLVC to stream all their home games. And each school has their own broadcast team, their own equipment, their own athletic directors to help run it. And what we do is basically every sporting event we can, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, football, all this stuff, we broadcast to, it's on the internet, so anybody can watch it. And what I've done is I kind of started more on the producing, filming side, and I knew I wanted to broadcast, so I just kind of watched and learned a couple of times, and then eventually got on the mic, and I do baseball, basketball, football, all those home games. And if you're interested in sports broadcasting at all, any side of it, that could be, if you want to be on the mic in front of the camera, that's awesome. If you want to be on the more audio visual side, we use production truck software, which is really for our capabilities and our needs is really awesome, because it has a lot of different capabilities, but it's not rocket science. It's not ESPN, obviously, or just a Division II. But I think at Quincy, we've built one of the stronger programs in the GLVC, just watching streams from other schools. I think ours stacks up really well towards the top, and we try to do every single game we can. And if we can broadcast it, if we can cover it, we'll cover it. So it's been a lot of fun.
And also talk about game day. So last football season, obviously not this fall, but last fall, you were instrumental in helping to create a game day show, which is the pre-show before the big game. So what was your experience with that, Shane?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, last year, last fall, so my junior year, before every football game, Will Connerly, and he's a graduate student now here. He's a year older than me, so he's a senior last year. We had this, us and Nora had this idea of doing QU game day, kind of like a college game day, like you see on ESPN. Not the 3 hours, all that stuff, but it's like a half an hour or an hour before the game where we interview coaches, talk about the game, talk about all the QU sports going on, and we would be how many times? 2 or 3 times we were live on the field with the players warming up behind us, and it was really, and a couple of times it was 20-30 degrees and we're out there in our coats and hats. But I mean, that's what they do, like on ESPN, like you see. That was kind of the idea. Obviously we don't have the production capabilities and the staff to be able to pull something off like that, but it was really fun, and Will and I had an awesome time doing that.
Shane, with the games all online streaming, how cool was it to be able to send a link to mom and dad or friends back home and say, check this out, look what I'm producing, look what I'm calling, look what I'm hosting?
Oh, they love it. They try to watch every single game they can. We got the GOVC Sports Network on our Roku at home, so my mom would send me pictures of me on TV, and we have a little kid next door who's about 5 or 6 years old, and he'd go up to TV, Shane's on TV. Oh man, that's so cool. So
that's great.
You have fans. This is cool. Anybody who wants to be our fan can go to our website, qumedia.net. When you get there, you can see broadcasts, you can hear podcasts, you can read articles that have been written for online consumption. You can read our alumni profiles. So if there's something we haven't mentioned here that involves communication, chances are you'll find an alum who has done that. And those are people who, when you're a student, if you have a question, if you would like to make a connection and find out how you can take your next step, those people are willing to be contacted. And it's really impressive how much our alums stay connected. I have been really humbled by that they love giving that up to the next generation. And I think that's kind of a QU thing. I don't think we're the only area that does that, but I have been really impressed by how well it works.
Well, guys, we are just over a half an hour, so we'll start to wind this down. From my perspective, as a communication alum, I had such a wonderful experience with that program, and knowing Professor Yates and Professor Baldner and Dr. Schleppenbach, you guys are all so outgoing and so willing to work one-on-one with students, and that's and I know that's what we do at Quincy University in general, but really speaking to your guys' program specifically, it's really impressive. I guess I'll leave you guys to kind of wind us down. If there's one thing that a prospective student is watching this right now, what's one thing you can leave them with?
Get in touch with us. Definitely don't hesitate. Start now, and after you get here, never stop, because we are here for you and we want to be able to answer your questions. We want you to have all the tools you need to do your best.
You do a Zoom with communication people and they all talk all the time. So sorry for the interruption, but I would leave you with this. If you like knowing what's going on, if you like talking to people, and you like telling stories, this is your home.
Yeah, I'd say the versatility is just off the charts as far as all of our programs here, and how we can help you become a better, effective, skilled, trained communicator that can really go into any field you choose with the skills that you learn from us.
And not only communicator as in doing a job, but the classes I've taken here, the experiences I've had, have helped me become a better communicator in real life as well, which is, if not as important, maybe even more important than your actual job. So it's a very rewarding field, and if you're interested in becoming not only a better communicator but a better person, I highly recommend you coming here. So
That's awesome. And then finally, can we all just get a go Hawks? And we have a 1, 2, 3.
Go
Hawks!